It's never a problem bringing her to therapy. She loves to come and loves to work and get stronger, and she'll notice when she can do something better than she was able to do it before.
Working with children, overall, we want to work on what we call developmental milestones. So with every child that you work with, the developmental milestones that you would approach typically in that age range. So if you were working with a 3.5 to 5-year-old, you're going to look at emerging skills to prepare for school. So things like being able to write, things like being able to play like a typical child so that you can interact socially with kids your own age. And then as you get into school, very similar skills but on a higher level. An example for someone whose arm maybe doesn't work so well, we want to first work on what we call range of motion. So let's say just the right hand is kind of tight. So we're first going to work on stretching all the fingers out. And if you think about what you do every day, if you want to play a game of cards, you have to be able to pick up the card and hold the card. And in order to do that, you need your fingers to open and close. You need your forearm to turn and your wrist to move up and down. So if you can't do that and you're stuck like this, or you can't figure out how to pick up the card, that's what we need to work on so that they can participate, or a student of a young child can participate with games like their friends. Dice games are really simple and they add weight. So if you play a game and you want to start with a bigger cup, because this is a grosser grasp, then you can shake it and stir it. But the weight of the dice makes this harder. Maybe you start with 10 dice, or maybe you start with 1, and then you advance to more so that it weighs more over time. Eventually, if they're getting really good, a child is really good at that, go to a smaller cup, because then it's a smaller grasp and it requires a different muscle motion, and it'll be harder for them to do. Having us make a ramp, for example, with a ball, is by manipulating blocks. He has to manipulate his body, but I also am forcing him to reach for something and grasp something and then move it. So I'm getting a lot of gross motor. Just like his arm and his leg are affected because of cerebral palsy, that goes from head to his toe. So it's not only his arm and his leg, it's also the muscles in his head and his face. So he might talk a little bit slower or have difficulty with some sounds that his tongue has to make. But the problem or the difficulty he has with that is because the motor plan that his tongue has to go through to make those sounds. So he's just as bright as everybody else, and perhaps even smarter in some things. His problem-solving skills are excellent because he has to do that every day. It's just harder for him to say the words with that, and it's just the cerebral palsy. She has had multiple surgical procedures. She was primarily in a wheelchair, and now she's able to walk, and she is able to dress herself and do a lot of other activities that she couldn't have done from a wheelchair base. So it's really nice to see that progression and to see her have the capacity to be independent and be like her friends.
Your team has been asked to design and develop a prototype of a new and creative toy for a child with cerebral palsy to use during occupational therapy. Your toy will help children improve their physical, cognitive, sensory, and motor skills. Use what you've learned about the symptoms of CP and how toys are used in occupational therapy to help you develop your design ideas. Your toy must also be designed so that it's useful and appropriate for all children. This is called universal design. Some toys, furniture, and electronics are universally designed for accessible use by all people. Remember that teamwork is essential to complete your design on time. Some of the benefits of working within a team include exploring ideas from multiple individuals with diverse backgrounds, sharing the workload, and collaborating to solve problems throughout the design process. You'll document the design process steps for your toy design to communicate your ideas, record testing results, and make modifications to your team's solution. Remember to discuss and establish team norms before your design team begins work on this challenge. Good luck and have fun!